surveilling the mosque. And David Cohn, too, our head of intelligence and terrorism, they both did a terrific job. Bratton did a good job. And also the Muslim community is much more integrated in here than it is in Europe. In Europe, in France and Britain, there are separate areas there where people just don't go, even the cops. So we're a much more integrated society. I think our guys are much more on the ball, our intelligence people and the New York Police Department. And thank God we haven't had the problems they've had. Also, remember, in Britain, it's a lot larger, in France, a lot larger percentage of the population than it is, let's say, in New York.
All right, one quick thought. There's a difference between fear and caution. If I'm going to err, I'm going to err on the side of caution.
All right, we'll leave it right there. When we come right back, we're going to circle back with our specialists, Andrew Stein and Pastor Darrell Scott. So, go away. Don't go away.
Would you like to own an asset that has the potential for a 60% increase or more? Well, that investment is silver, and you can buy it at today's low price. If silver just returns to half of its all-time high, it would be a 60% increase. And if silver returns to its recent all-time high, it would be a 200% increase. Compare this silver investment to owning volatile stocks and low-yield bonds. Don't miss your chance to own silver before it rises in price. Call Lear Capital to receive the complete guide to silver investing free. The guide shows why experts say silver is undervalued, why silver could rise 60% or more, and how silver can help protect your IRA if another crisis strikes. Get your free silver guide and precious metals IRA investor kit so you can help protect and grow your portfolio in 2017. Call 1-800-889-8000. 1-800-889-8000. Call now.
At Joseph A. Bank, buy one, get one free and get all your wardrobe essentials. Also, buy one, get one 50% off on shoes, plus traveler suits are $249. And all signature sport coats and blazers are just $199. Only at Joseph A. Bank.
1 year ago today, Mom started searching for her words, and my brother Ray and I started searching for answers.
When it's time to navigate in-home care, follow that Bright Star. Because Bright Star Care earns the same accreditation as the best hospitals. And Bright Star Care means an RN will customize a plan that evolves with Mom's changing needs.
Because Dad made us promise we'd keep Mom at home.
Call 844-4BRIGHT STAR for your free home care planning guide.
I'm Laura, and I lost 30 pounds on Nutrisystem.
Want to lose weight, but no time? Too busy? Tired of fads and gimmicks? I've got one word for you, Nutrisystem.
I'm Vanessa, and I lost 50 pounds with Nutrisystem.
I'm Ashley, and I've lost 135 pounds.
Lose weight fast with Nutrisystem's new Lean 13.
I'm Erin, and I lost 30 pounds on Nutrisystem. I have so much more energy.
Bye-bye belly fat.
I'm healthy and in the best shape of my life.
I lost 48 pounds.
You can lose weight too. Take control. Pick up the phone and get with the program today. Lose up to 13 pounds and 7 inches overall in your first month. Lose weight fast. Money back guarantee.
The food is amazing. They give you chocolate and pizza and shakes.
I didn't have to think about it.
It's simple.
Take the first step and order Nutrisystem right now. You'll get 1 week of all new NutriCrush bars free and 1 week of Turbo Shakes free.
So what are you waiting for?
Do it now. Don't wait.
Make the call.
Go online or call 877-829-SIZE right now to get new Lean 13 with bars and shakes free.
La Quinta presents How to Win at Business. Step 1. Point decisively with the arm of your glasses. Abracadabra, the stage is yours. Step 2. Choose La Quinta, the only hotel where you can redeem loyalty points for a free night instantly and win at business.
I would like to take a moment to address my fellow veterans because I know there are so many of you who have served your country honorably, whether it's 2 years, 4 years, or 32 years like myself. One of the benefits that we as a country give you as a veteran is your eligibility for a VA loan. Not 80%, but 100% the value of your home, and that's what you can get at New Day USA.
Go to newdayusa.com or call 1-866-228-7496.
Let's circle back with our specialist today, Mr. Andrew Stein and Pastor Daryl Scott. All right, Pastor, I'm going to start with you.
Okay.
Take us on in. I know you know how to close. Favorite scripture? I know there's tons, but give me your favorite one.
Better is one handful with quietness than both the hands full with travail and vexation of spirit.
Amen. All right. Andrew, for you, this is my quick question. You were the youngest to ever serve in the New York
State Assembly,
23 years old. Intimidated, or was that just you getting started?
Well, first of all, I think politics was a lot more, it was tough, but a lot easier in those days. You didn't have the social media, you didn't have the internet, and it was more fun. So I had a great time. I loved it, and I always wanted to be in politics. I grew up, idolizing Bobby and Jack Kennedy, and it was a thrill, and when I think about it, I was really young. I was 23. I must have had somebody watching over me.
My circle back is for Pastor Scott. While he's delivering that monologue, the Wake Up America, I saw the pastor of the peripherally shaking his head yes and no, and you said something to me in the break. You said what about terror?
It's going to get worse. It's not going to get better. I look at things from a different standpoint. I look at it from a biblical standpoint, and according to my eschatological interpretations, it's going to get worse. Then it's going to get better for a minute, then it's going to get worse again, then Jesus is coming back.
There you go.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, would you have any advice for James Comey tomorrow? I know Trump just said good luck. Well, what advice would you have for James Comey?
Good luck.
That was kind of great. But
Man up.
Okay.
Man up, James. And go Cavs.
Okay.
Cleveland Cavaliers tonight.
Do you know if the Cavs win one game, it might be a miracle on your watch?
Cavs are going to win this series. You heard it here first.
We're fighting a losing battle. I told the pastor before the show, get his broom out. The sweep
Go Cavs.
is coming.
Steph Curry. Oh my God.
Steph Curry for the shot,
kidding
Pastor.
Me? Good.
Steph double dribble Curry.
I don't. I'm a big New England Patriots fan. I'm a passionate Patriots fan during football season.
Lord, here we go. Thank you to our Fox News specialist today, Andrew Stein and Pastor Daryl Scott. And thank you for watching. And make sure you follow us on social media at Specialist FNC on both Facebook and Twitter. And remember, 5 o'clock will never be the same. Special report with Brett Baer up next.
This is a Fox News Alert. I'm Brett Baer in Washington. The testimony before the testimony. Former FBI Director James Comey says in prepared opening remarks released today that President Trump asked him for loyalty and that he hoped Comey could find his way to let go of the investigation into former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. Comey says he did not take that to mean the president wanted him to abandon the broader investigation into possible Russian interference in the election or links to the Trump campaign. And he did not pass it on to FBI investigators at that time. Comey also did tell President Trump, according to the detailed notes Comey took at the time of those one-on-one meetings, that the president was not personally the target or focus of an investigation, an assurance Comey offered 3 separate times, as President Trump told NBC last month. Those are some of the headlines from the prepared testimony that hit Washington today like an earthquake when it was released a few hours ago. Tomorrow, Comey will deliver those remarks and take questions from the Senate Intelligence Committee. That will be the main event in a dynamic doubleheader of Senate hearings concerning those investigations and what the president did or did not request or order. Today, the men who guard America's secrets said they did not feel any pressure to squelch or silence any investigations, but they would not directly discuss specific discussions they had with President Trump, reported from anonymous sources in the media. We have Fox team coverage tonight. John Roberts at the White House with reaction, plus a surprise personnel move a day ahead of the Comey hearing. Howie Kurtz in the White House briefing room fact-checking the media against the Comey remarks. But we start off tonight on Capitol Hill and Chief Intelligence Correspondent Catherine Herridge on what the former FBI chief will say tomorrow. Good evening, Catherine.
Brett, the 7 pages of prepared testimony for the record contain one revelation after another. After a January 6th briefing at Trump Tower to discuss unverified intelligence targeting the incoming president, James Comey had already discussed with senior FBI leadership whether he should be prepared to tell Mr. Trump he was not under federal investigation. We agreed I should do so if circumstances warranted, based on President-elect Trump's reaction to the briefing, and without him directly asking the question, I offered that assurance. At a dinner later that month, now President Trump asked Comey if he wanted to stay on as FBI director. The president said, I need loyalty. I expect loyalty. I didn't move, speak, or change my facial expression in any way during the awkward silence that followed, Comey writes. We simply looked at each other in silence. Later in the conversation, the president returned to the subject. I need loyalty. I replied, you will always get honesty from me. He paused and then said, that's what I want, honest loyalty. I paused and then said, you will get that from me. After a February 14th meeting, the president raised the issue of National Security Advisor Mike Flynn, who resigned a day earlier. I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He is a good guy. I hope you can let this go. Comey stated, I had understood the president to be requesting that we drop any investigation of Flynn in connection with false statements about his conversations with the Russian ambassador in December. I did not understand the president to be talking about the broader investigation into Russia or possible links to his campaign. Comey continued, it was very concerning, given the FBI's role as an independent investigative agency. The FBI leadership team agreed with me that it was important not to infect the investigative team with the president's request, which we did not intend to abide. We also concluded that, given that it was a one-on-one conversation, there was nothing available to corroborate my account. In March, Comey made a rare public statement.
I have been authorized by the Department of Justice to confirm that the FBI, as part of our counterintelligence mission, is investigating the Russian government's efforts to interfere in the 2016 presidential election.
About 10 days later, Comey got a call from the president where he described the investigation as a cloud impairing his ability to act on behalf of the country. He asked what we could do to lift the cloud. I responded that we were investigating the matter as quickly as we could and that there would be great benefit if we didn't find anything to our having done the work well. He agreed, but then re-emphasized the problems this was causing him. Comey's prepared testimony quickly overshadowed today's hearing with top intelligence leaders.
This pattern where the president seems to want to interfere or downplay or halt the ongoing investigation, not only the Justice Department is taking on, but this committee's taking on.
In the 3+ years that I have been the director of the National Security Agency, to the best of my recollection, I have never been directed to do anything I believe to be illegal, immoral, unethical, or inappropriate.
For intelligence-related matters or any other matters that have been discussed, it is my belief that it's inappropriate for me to share that with the public.
Traveling overseas, Coates' predecessor said the issues threatened to unravel.
I lived through Watergate. I have to say, though, that I think, compare the two, that Watergate pales really, in my view, compared to what we're confronting now.
The committee's ranking Democrat said he will bring forward a witness, a former administration official who saw political interference. But Senator Mark Warner did not identify that witness by name today, Brett.
Catherine, thank you. Just hours ahead of live testimony from the former FBI chief, President Trump has announced his pick for a replacement at the FBI. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts says that, and reaction from the Republican Party, and reaction from the president to Comey's prepared comments. Good evening, John.
Brett, good evening to you. No official reaction from the White House to Comey's prepared testimony, but the outside counsel acting on behalf of the president, Mark Kasowitz, did weigh in late this afternoon in a statement to Fox News saying that the president is pleased that Mr. Comey has finally publicly confirmed his private reports that the president was not under investigation in any Russia probe. The president feels completely and totally vindicated. He is eager to continue to move forward with his agenda. The president did take some action on this front today, moving to get ahead of Comey's testimony tomorrow by announcing his pick to replace him at the FBI. President Trump in Cincinnati today to talk about rebuilding the infrastructure of our inland waterways. But before he left the White House, a preemptive strike against testimony tomorrow from James Comey, announcing a new nominee for FBI director. He's going to be good. The president's choice is Christopher Wray, a high-powered criminal attorney who represented New Jersey Governor Chris Christie in the Bridgegate scandal. After 4 years as an assistant U.S. attorney in Georgia, Wray was appointed to the Department of Justice by President Bush in 2001. In 2003, he was unanimously confirmed to head up the DOJ's criminal division. President Trump was down to two finalists, Wray and former TSA Administrator John Pistole. In a statement, the president said of Wray, quote, "He is an impeccably qualified individual, and I know that he will again serve his country as a fierce guardian of the law and model of integrity." Wray's announcement came in a single early morning tweet from the president. Much of his staff, including his communications team, weren't aware of the pick. The president also didn't inform the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, who will lead Wray's confirmation hearings.
I believe that he probably tried to get a hold of me, but I wasn't available because I was over in the House testifying this morning.
And he didn't tell the Speaker of the House either.
I don't know the guy, but I've looked at his resume. He seems like the right perfect. He seems like to me he's the perfect kind of person.
The reaction from Democrats to Wray has been muted. The ranking member of the Judiciary Committee, Senator Dianne Feinstein, saying, quote, "He may be fine." House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi said only that in the current environment, Wray, quote, "should be subject to the utmost scrutiny." The White House was on full mute over reports Attorney General Jeff Sessions offered to resign because of rising tensions with the president. President Trump is said to be still fuming that Sessions recused himself from the Russia investigation, eventually giving way to the appointment of special counsel Robert Mueller. The president made clear his thoughts just hours before Sessions took himself out.
Mr. President, should Sessions recuse himself from investigations into your campaign in Russia?
I don't think so at all. In preparation for tomorrow's testimony by James Comey, the Republican National Committee has launched a major rapid response organization. They will flood the zone with surrogates on television and radio, and will also have a major fact-checking operation going on social media. And in response to Comey's testimony this afternoon, a source very close to the president told me that he was interested to note that there was not a single act of either collusion or obstruction that was noted by James Comey. The reason this person said, because he can't identify one. Brett?
John Roberts, live on the North Lawn. John, thank you. Today's Comey comments have answered a few questions about what went on between the FBI boss and the president from Comey's perspective. Fox News media analyst and host of Fox's Media Buzz, Howard Kurtz, looks at what the media may have gotten right and gotten wrong about the Comey testimony so far. He's in the White House briefing room tonight. Good evening, Howie.
Good evening, Brett. Now that we have James Comey's testimony, how does it stack up against all the leaks? ABC News reported yesterday that the fired FBI director, quote, will dispute the president's contention that Comey told him 3 times he is not under investigation.
Tonight, a source familiar with Comey's thinking tells ABC News that the former FBI director will directly contradict what the president wrote in the letter notifying him he was fired.
That was wrong. Comey says in his statement that in a dinner and 2 phone calls, he did discuss that President Trump was not personally under FBI investigation, just as Mr. Trump had said. ABC also reported that Comey will testify that he does not believe the president was obstructing justice and asking him to consider dropping his probe of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn. But Comey's testimony offers no opinion on whether it was obstruction or not. The testimony does confirm last month's New York Times story, saying the president told him of the Flynn investigation, quote, "I hope you can let this go." Comey also backs up the president's insistence to NBC's Lester Holt, as you noted, Brett, that he did not try to derail the Russia probe.
I want to find out if there was a problem with an election having to do with Russia.
The former director says he understood the president to be talking about dropping the Flynn inquiry, not the broader Russia investigation. Comey confirms last month's Washington Post story that the president had asked for his loyalty and that he replied he could offer only honesty. The president denied asking the loyalty question in an interview with Fox's Jeanine Pirro. Comey's language almost perfectly matches some of the leaked stories because those reports were based partially on his own private memos. Brett?
Howie, thank you. Let's get reaction to Comey's prepared testimony, a preview of tomorrow's hearing, and a look ahead look back at today's hearing. Senator James Lankford of Oklahoma is a member of the Senate Intelligence Committee. He was there today. He joins us tonight. Senator, thanks for being here.
Glad to be with you.
You've read the testimony, I'm sure. Your take initially of this?
Yeah, I was actually very pleased to how frank Jim Comey is in a day and age where you often get, we'll think about this, I'll give you it another moment, another time. He was very clear, articulated out multiple different conversations, gave the details of it, and was very open. So we look forward to that kind of open conversation, get the rest of the information tomorrow.
You've heard some people talk about this specific effort in February 14th Oval Office meeting, talking about Michael Flynn. President Trump, quote, repeated that Flynn hadn't done anything wrong in his calls with the Russians, but had misled the vice president. He said then, I hope you can see your way clear to letting this go, to letting Flynn go. He's a good guy. I hope you can let this go. I replied only, he's a good guy. I did not say I would let this go. I had understood the president to be requesting that we drop in any investigation of Flynn in connection with false statements about his conversations with the Russian ambassador in December. I did not understand the president to be talking about the broader investigation into Russia or possible links to his campaign. I could be wrong, but I took him to be focusing on what had just happened with Flynn's departure and the controversy around his account of his phone calls. Regardless, it was very concerning, given the FBI's role as an independent investigative agency. Now, there are some tonight who are saying that this is obstruction of justice.
No, I would disagree that it rises to that level. We'll actually walk through and get greater details on that tomorrow when we visit with Jim Comey. Jim Comey was concerned about it, didn't like it, didn't want to be alone with the president at other times, thought that put him in an awkward situation. He had mentioned that later on in his written prepared statement there. But what he was very clear on is that the president wasn't saying to him, you've got to do this or else, or this is the shift, or get into the Russia probe or anything else. What I hear from it is the president had just fired Flynn, who he liked and who he respected, but understood he lied to the vice president. He's not going to do that and be his administration. And was trying to say, we fired him, that's enough, is what it sounds like. Is this also going to go into a probe as well?
I've also heard supporters of the president today saying this is how he talks. He's a real estate developer from New York. He's not used to the Washington ways of dealing with this. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, that's exactly how I saw it. The first time that I read through this earlier today when it came out was this reads like the president talks. It sounds like a guy who is not a Washington guy. America did not select a Washington guy or a politician. They hired a New York business guy. And he came in. He's in the process of hiring people. It doesn't surprise me. He's sitting down with all the people that he's hiring and putting on board face to face and saying, I need you to be loyal. That's a part of being a part of this. We've heard that term over and over again. For the other cabinet officials and folks, that when the president meets with them on that, he sits down with Comey a week into his presidency and says, basically, you're the same as everyone else. Comey is sitting there apparently thinking, I'm not like everyone else. I'm an independent investigator. I'm leading the FBI. And I think Comey sees this different than the president did. The president sees him as another part of the team. Comey seems to see it as, hey, we're very independent, which the FBI has historically been very independent.
I know you're going to press the former FBI director tomorrow, and he'll be pressed on a number of fronts. But his explanation in this prepared testimony about why he doesn't tell the FBI investigators about this concern and others up the chain of command. Do you buy that?
I do. It seems that Comey's explanation was, I wasn't taking this up to the chain of command initially because he didn't see this as anything off. He was writing notes just to be able to keep track of it.
But he does say he's very concerned.
He was concerned later. You get several months down the road, you get down to the Michael Flynn conversation, and that raises a concern for him to say, hey, I don't need to be alone with the president. I don't want to be there. I need to find someone to report that to. But at the time, obviously, there's no one to report it to.
Is it right for a president to ask an FBI director, I need loyalty, I expect loyalty?
I think it's right for a president to expect him to be honest. And I would say that's the best way to handle it. With this president and his background and his business dealings and the way that he normally handles everyone else, I'd give him the benefit of the doubt in the first month. And in that case, in the first week, he's in the office to be able to learn his way through the process. But what I didn't see is him being pressured by anyone else. And Jim Comey doesn't articulate anyone else pressuring him.
I want to talk about today's hearing and play just some of the exchanges there on that hearing today.
I have never been directed to do anything I believe to be illegal, immoral, unethical, or inappropriate. I do not recall ever feeling pressured to do so.
I have never felt pressure to intervene or interfere in any way and shaping intelligence in a political way or in relationship to an ongoing investigation.
There was a chance here delayed arrests, some of these press reports. But at some point, these facts have to come out.
With all due respect to my colleague from Virginia, I think you have cleared up substantially your direct testimony that you have never been pressured by anyone, including the President of the United States, to do something illegal, immoral, or anything else. Thank you for that.
Not surprisingly, how you looked at that depended on which side of the aisle you sat on. You heard Senator Risch there saying they did answer your question.
Right.
But the Democrats and others commentating on this say, why couldn't they answer the direct question? Yes or no, it did or didn't happen.
So the Democrats on the panel want to get into specific conversations and say, what did the president say? What did you say? And get into that specifics. They didn't want to get into the specifics at all, saying we're not going to talk about specific conversations we've had with the president. We will only tell you that in a general sense and a flat out statement, we've never been pressured, never felt pressured, never been asked to do anything that was inconsistent morally, legally, whatever it may be. They were very clear on a very broad spectrum saying that's never happened, but I will not talk about individual conversations I've had with the president. Democrats hated that. Republicans looked at it and said, okay, that's good to know.
Or at least an open testimony.
Right.
We don't know if they wouldn't close. Finally, and before I let you go, you just got back from Syria and Iraq.
Right.
We have a couple pictures of you touring briefly your assessment of how the fight against ISIS is going.
What's pretty remarkable about in Iraq and in Syria is the Iraqis are fighting in Mosul. We're advising and in the back lines, but the Iraqis are fighting in Iraq. The Syrians are fighting in Syria. That's the clearest message that you can see what's actually happening on the ground there, and real progress has been made. ISIS only has control of really 3 areas, smaller regions in the far western side of Iraq, including the very center of Mosul, Sinjar Valley in the southwest, and in Syria, it's really only the Euphrates Valley is all they've got left. So the noose really is being circled around them, and the Iraqis and the Syrians are taking the fight directly to the ISIS.
Senator, we appreciate your time. We look forward, obviously, to covering the hearing tomorrow.
Yeah, look forward to it as well.
Thanks. An absolutely blistering report tonight out saying the Obama administration in general and former Attorney General Eric Holder in particular repeatedly lied to the family of a slain Border Patrol officer about the weapons used in his death and stonewalled efforts to get at the truth. Correspondent William Lajeunesse tonight on Operation Fast and Furious.
My only goal was to make sure he was laid to rest with honors. That honor has been insulted by cover-ups and deception by the very people he served.
Border Patrol agent Brian Terry died in December 2010, killed by guns tied to an Obama administration plan that armed Mexicans, a scandal officials tried to hide by wrongly claiming executive privilege.
The department's belated admission that those 64,000 pages were not privileged puts the gold seal of authenticity on the House's bipartisan vote to hold the Attorney General in contempt.
Emails contained in the House Oversight Committee's report show top officials knew the ATF sent guns to Mexico even before Terry's death. It's a tricky case given the number of guns that have walked, said a deputy attorney general. A colleague replied, it is not going to be any big surprise a bunch of U.S. guns are being used in Mexico, so I'm not sure how much grief we get for guns walking. Months later, 2 of those guns were used against Agent Terry, a fact denied to Congress and Terry's family.
Only one possible motivation remains for all of those involved who have covered up Fast and Furious. That is to conceal their own shame and disgrace.
Even the Border Patrol, which sent Terry's team into the desert, didn't know about the operation.
I believe that if Brian Terry and his team had known this information, chances are Brian would be alive today.
The report claims the administration tried to stop the investigation by discrediting whistleblower John Dodson.
I was lied about, disparaged, publicly attacked, ridiculed, libeled. I've been transferred 11 times, denied promotion, ostracized, barred from government workplaces, and banned from public buildings.
Lawmakers noted no one from the ATF or Justice Department was fired or seriously disciplined for the cover-up. Brett?
William, thank you. The Justice Department is ending the practice of allowing big companies and banks to settle cases by donating money to outside organizations. A memo from Attorney General Jeff Sessions says money should go to victims or the Treasury, not third parties that are often special interest groups or political friends of those in power. Terrorism comes to a home of a state-sponsored terrorism. That's next.
It's not just a car, it's your daily retreat. Go ahead, spoil yourself. The ES and ES Hybrid Experience amazing.
Hi, so I just got off the phone with our Allstate agent, and I know that we have accident forgiveness. So the incredibly minor accident that I had tonight.
4 weeks without the car.
Okay, yep, good night.
With accident forgiveness, your rates won't go up just because of an accident. Switching to Allstate is worth it.
The day after chemo might mean a trip back to the doctor's office, just for a shot. But why go back there when you can stay home with Neulasta Onpro?
Strong chemo can put you at risk of serious infection, which could lead to hospitalizations. In a key study, Neulasta reduced the risk of infection from 17% to 1%, a 94% decrease. Applied the day of chemo, Neulasta Onpro is designed to deliver Neulasta the next day, so you can stay home. Neulasta is for certain cancer patients receiving strong chemotherapy. Do not take Neulasta if you're allergic to Neulasta or Neupogen, filgrastim. Ruptured spleen, sometimes fatal, as well as serious lung problems, allergic reactions, kidney injuries, and capillary leak syndrome have occurred. Report abdominal or shoulder tip pain, trouble breathing, or allergic reactions to your doctor right away. In patients with the most common side effect is bone and muscle ache.
So why go back there? If you'd rather be home, ask your doctor about Neulasta Onpro.
Questions, critical answers, and fallout across D.C. Powerful insight from Bear, Wallace, and Perino. Live on a special America's Newsroom, Thursday.
Hello, neighbor. Pat Boone here for the folks at TV Ears. Are you having trouble hearing your TV set? Somebody telling you it's too loud? Well, you don't need expensive hearing aids. We've got the answer. Doctor-recommended TV Ears has helped millions of people hear television dialogue clearly. TV Ears eliminates loud TV in your home and returns peace and harmony to your family and your marriage. This fantastic wireless headset elevates hard-to-hear words, making accents, even whispers, understandable. Now, your family can watch TV with you or mute the TV volume for complete quiet. Why don't you call the number on your screen? Get the original TV Ears, normally $129.95, for just $59.95, plus a free 5-year limited warranty, all for just $59.95. Call the number on your screen. Start enjoying TV again. You're going to love TV Ears.
Another Fox News alert tonight. Major breaking news out of South Korea. The new administration in Seoul is pulling the plug on the latest high-tech American missile defense system. National security correspondent Jennifer Griffin is at the Pentagon to tell us why. Hi, Jen.
Brett, in an apparent concession to China, an official for the South Korean government announced today that it would suspend the deployment of a crucial U.S. missile defense system designed to intercept long-range North Korean missiles. The official said the two launchers of the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense System, or THAAD, that have already been installed can remain, but the 4 other launchers the Pentagon needs for the system to be more effective would be put on hold. The Pentagon has not been officially informed of the decision, but issued the following terse response. Quote, the U.S. trusts the ROK official stance that the THAAD deployment was an alliance decision and it will not be reversed. The top Democrat on the House Armed Services Committee said the decision shows a potential rift with Seoul.
Certainly it has tactical implications for deterring North Korea that are deeply concerning.
China and its proxy North Korea view the THAAD radar as a threat. The Pentagon deployed 2 of the launchers to an abandoned golf course 135 miles southeast of Seoul in April. On a trip to Asia last week, officials traveling with Defense Secretary Jim Mattis seemed to indicate the deal was complete.
We have been consulting with the ROK government throughout this entire process to get the entire battery, THAAD battery, to the Korean Peninsula, which includes 6 launches.
The Pentagon is taking a wait-and-see attitude, but some see it as a challenge for President Trump's North Korea policy at a time of uncertainty on the Korean Peninsula, when they would prefer to present a united front against North Korea and China. Brett.
And Jen, some news tonight about the Pentagon's ability to defend the homeland against an incoming missile.
That's right, Brett. Pentagon officials say this is the equivalent of getting upgraded to a AAA+ rating from Moody's and comes in the wake of that successful missile defense test at Vandenberg Air Force Base in California recently. Fox News has obtained a memo sent on June 6 to the Defense Secretary, which says that the U.S. Missile Defense Agency is now, for the first time, capable of defending the U.S. homeland. The memo was written by the Independent Operational Test.
John Huddy tells us what happened from our Middle East newsroom.
A country accused of state-sponsored terrorism, now the target of terrorism. Gunmen and suicide bombers attacked Iran's parliament building and the Ayatollah Khamenei mausoleum today in Tehran. The bloodbath lasted for hours, leaving 12 dead and 42 others wounded. In one picture, a little boy is lowered from a window at the parliament. Police eventually shot and killed the gunman. But today's violence was a blow to Iran's elite security forces and perhaps a sign of more to come.
People were panicked and started running away and seeking shelter. Then ambulances arrived and gunfire sound increased.
ISIS claimed responsibility for the attacks. If true, it would be the first time the terror group has launched an attack inside Iran. Iranian-backed forces have been fighting ISIS in Iraq and Syria, and ISIS has threatened reprisal. ISIS purportedly released this video showing the attackers on their bloody rampage, praising God while opening fire. A man covered in blood is curled up motionless on the floor. While Iranian officials call the attackers terrorists, they stop short of blaming ISIS.
This attack will definitely fortify the resolve for our people in the fight against terrorism. All Iranian people and our military will resist against this universal threat.
Iran's foreign minister also said that multilateral cooperation is needed in fighting terrorism. Other Iranian officials, meanwhile, blamed Saudi Arabia and even the United States for today's violence. Violence the U.S. State Department condemned as depraved with no place in a peaceful world. Brett?
John Huddy in our Middle East newsroom. John, thank you. The former wife of one of the London Bridge attackers says she's deeply shocked, saddened, and numbed by her former partner's action. The Italian mother of another attacker says her son, was always very hard on himself and became radicalized in the last year while living in London. 8 people were killed and nearly 50 injured. The 3 attackers were killed by police. Tomorrow, voters participate in early parliamentary elections called by Prime Minister Theresa May. And terrorism is, of course, expected to be a major issue there. Back here in the U.S., stocks rebounded today. The Dow gained 37. The S&P 500 finished ahead 4. The Nasdaq jumped 22. Up next, the panel on the James Comey testimony, what's out, and the analysis.
We asked people to write down the things they love to do most on these balloons.
Travel with my daughter.
Roller derby?
Now, give up half of them.
Do I have to?
This is the tough financial choice we could face when we retire. But